Okay, first of all, a wonderful welcome, guys. Great to have you. We're learning about Moshiach. That's been our topic. We're actually learning a little bit inside the text of Rabbi Nachman. Don't worry if there's a lot of Hebrew words that are challenging. One of the ways to learn is by jumping in, and sometimes it takes time to get rolling and to get going, but that's okay. And anything which is really worth having for everybody knows it takes a little bit of time to get it, and learning the Hebrew language is exactly like that. So we've been learning a piece from Rabbi Nachman, a more difficult idea, which is that we've been speaking a lot about the lofty concepts of when Moshiach comes, that it's going to be a time of peace, it's going to be a time of global consciousness, it's going to be a time of we're going to have a Beis HaMikdash. It's going to be a time that there's going to be a beautiful communication. There's going to be intimacy between people. There's going to be real relationships. Two people are going to go on a date, and they're not going to be sitting there like she's in her corner, he's in. They're just going like this. And you look at them, aren't you guys on a date? Maybe don't just text each other. Give her some eye contact. Look at her. No, that's too deep for me. I can't do that. So don't worry, when Mashiach comes, it's going to be full eye contact. It's going to be deep, profound living. And we've been speaking about some of the qualities that we want to already embody these ideas now. We said that Mashiach is going to be a great Torah scholar. He's going to be someone that's righteous. He's going to have good character traits. He's going to be a good listener. He's going to be a master at giving advice. He's going to be somebody that believes in all the depths of family purity, which we're going to talk about tomorrow, more in depth. But we also mentioned the last 2 days that Moshiach is going to have this power of being able to give moral guidance. And what we call Moshiach is going to be able to say the word no. Because sometimes in life, when you hear that word no, so more often than not, you're like, excuse me, don't tell me no. But Shmuel, sometimes do we have to hear the word no?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Even though, do we like to hear the word no? No, we don't like to hear that. We want to hear the word yes, because yes makes us feel good. Like we're, yes men. We want to surround ourselves with yes men because they seem to make us feel good. But like we mentioned before, that a father who only says yes to his child, so that's a recipe for, God forbid, a disastrous situation. Because the child will not know any borders. It won't know what's healthy, what's not. And when the child lashes back and says, you're not my friend, you're so mean to me. So that the father can respond, you're right, I'm your father, I have to take care of you, I have to know. And we're talking about a healthy fatherly figure. When yes, but also when no. And we said the last 2 days that Moshiach is going to have this unbelievable quality of giving us moral rebuke and being able to guide us and tell us when things aren't right and when we're going on the wrong path and when we're sort of veering in a way that maybe is not good for us. He's going to be able to sit down with us and give us good advice, and he's going to be like the ultimate therapist that will really help us. And when he comes, you're all going to be able to meet him, which is great. And he's going to be a human being, like we keep talking about. And he's going to be someone that's just the most relatable person in the world. That's both going to be an exalted and a holy person, but super relatable. And to know where you're at and what you need in your life. He's not going to be like lofty and unrelatable. He's going to be totally down to earth, like where you're at. He's going to find you on campus and just, speak out what needs to be spoken out. And some of it might be challenging, but that's the purpose. And we contrasted that yesterday and the day before to a person who's not fitting to give rebuke and is not fitting to give moral guidance. But he comes over and he's like, bro, didn't hear you make a blessing on that. I'm like, what? Who are you, some rabbi? You just started making blessings yesterday. Are you lecturing me about making blessings? There's always that guy that's like lecturing. He becomes like holier than thou, holier, there's some art, thou holier than be thee, that guy. And he's like this, lecturing on this stuff. And you're like, bro. So we said a person who gives moral rebuke, but he's not fitting, because he himself is still doing those things, or hasn't really fixed that. We compared it to a person. You guys should all. It's a funny thing. I'm going to give you a blessing now. It's a funny blessing, but you should know what I'm talking about. Is that when your kids make dirty diapers, and I was going to say you should, have the merit of having, dirty diapers in your house. I'm so sorry to say it that way, but it's actually a blessing because it means you got the children running around. You realize that as long as the dirty diaper is not getting moved, if you put it somewhere, you're getting ready to take it out into the dumpster. But Shmuel, if the dirty diaper is just sitting there, is it really so stinky? It's just sitting there, like you put it in a corner, you left it. Is it making a big stench?
Yeah.
You leave it for a little while, it's just kind of staying there. It's not so stinky. When you go to pick up the bag and you move it around a little bit, your garbage can, you ever have one of these garbage cans in frat house? It's okay. As soon as you go to move it, you go, oh, it wasn't as bad until I moved it, right? You start moving around the garbage can, ooh, not good. So the guy who comes and tries to give moral rebuke, but he's not holding in that place, it's like he comes inside of you and he's just like poking around at your not good things, your flawed character traits. That's not a good thing. We don't want somebody poking around at all this and making all these stinky smells come up. So that was what we spoke about 2 days ago. Then we said, we spent a little bit of a Kabbalistic idea. And for those that are new, we are seeing a bit of a text inside. So don't worry, there's going to be some parts that are text-based, some parts that are we call outside, where we're just speaking out ideas, and we'll have conversations about it. Then we said that Mashiach will have this voice, a voice that will give life to our soul. It will open up our soul. Instead of when he speaks words to us and he's poking around and telling us things that we need to do better, instead of us becoming stinky, we'll actually start emitting the most beautiful fragrance. Our soul is deeply connected to smell. There's many reasons behind that, like we mentioned before in other shiurim. And Mashiach will start to allow the beauty of the soul to come out. Like the Rosh Hashiva was speaking about, that the soul, to identify with the soul, that's part of free will, is identifying with the soul. And then we said that the soul is like a garden, and the voice is like a river that comes to water the garden. This is a bit esoteric. And that there's going to be this water that's going to water the garden. And when you have good water coming into the garden, what happens to the garden? It blossoms with all beautiful things, and the garden starts to flourish, and beautiful aromas come out. And we said that's what Moshiach is going to do. He's going to emit beautiful perfume and fragrance. He's going to open up the beautiful smell of your neshama, of your soul. And then we said that the one who's giving this rebuke should do it in a way of a shofar. You know, like Rosh Hashanah? Remember that one? That one? So that's what we're up to in this title. Okay, we're going to look inside now. I know there's a lot of squiggly letters here on the page, but this is the way that we learn. Okay, we're in Rabbi Nachman Tinyana Ches. I know that was also not English either. And look inside. So we're talking about a verse now from Isaiah the prophet, and whoever still has a hard time reading Hebrew, stay with it, and you'll see day after day you'll be able to become more accustomed to it. So the verse in Isaiah says, Harem ka shofar koilecha, raise up your voice like a shofar. An interesting verse that the prophet is telling the one who's giving this rebuke that his voice should be like a shofar. Now, what does a shofar remind you of? What is a shofar reminiscent of?
The soul?
Okay, very good. It is like the soul. One of the reasons it's like the soul is because, does the shofar talk? I mean, is there any words? When you hear the shofar in Rosh Hashanah, is the shofar like saying a song? With a song of words? The nature of the shofar is, of course, what we call kol pashut. It's just a simple sound. There's no delineation. There's delineation in the sound. But let's go with the first blast. You know what the first blast is called? A tekiah. Tekiah, right? What's the first blast? Doo. On point, on key. The first blast should be completely still, as opposed to the people who do the tekiah like this. Doo. You know that one? That's not a tekiah. You might be Yotzi, but a tekiah doesn't have any like whoop at the end of it. The tekiah represents God essentially before creation. Just completely pure, expansive, no fluctuations, just totally pure. It's a sound that's like, there's no words. It's a sound beyond words. And that's the idea of the soul. The soul, the deeper levels of the soul is beyond words. It's just will. It's just pure desire before it comes into words. Words are already later on in your consciousness. We're going to talk a lot about consciousness also in our Tanya shir. The consciousness, the deeper levels of your pre-psychic consciousness, deep within you in your soul, is a place of, the deepest of the places is pure yearning, is pure will. It's just, I just want, like when a person, like a shofar, just, I can't even express into words. Imagine you go up to a guy, and him and his wife, Baruch Hashem, they get married, and sadly for the next 30 years, they cannot have children. Hashem Yirachim. And he's 50, she's in her 40s. And all of a sudden, they realize that something's happening, and they go to the doctor. In fact, she's pregnant. And Baruch Hashem, it's not easy having a child for a woman at that age. And by the way, women do have it in their 40s, and later 40s even. And they give birth to a Baruch Hashem, a healthy baby boy. And he has a bris and a bar mitzvah. And then, at the ripe age of 18 years old, he goes to the chuppah. And now, and could you imagine? They take him to the chuppah, and they break the glass, the mazel tov. Could you imagine the feeling that father has at that moment of just what he's put into having this child? Now imagine you were like, some paparazzi, and you go over to the father, right under the chuppah, like he's hugging and he's kissing his son, that he waited 30 years for, almost 50 years for this moment, half a century for this moment. And you go up to you, excuse me, sir, will you please tell me exactly what you're feeling right now? Will you describe to me what you're feeling right now? There's no words. It's beyond words. It's beyond. That's the call of the shofar. That's the call of the neshama. There's a place inside you much deeper than words. You have to know that. Much deeper than your thoughts. People think that my thoughts are me. That's false, my friends. You're not your thoughts. Your thoughts are just clothing in the language of the Tanya. They're clothing. They're external to you. Are you your clothing? Don't believe the billboards. The clothes make the man. The shoes make the man. No, they don't. They might help you get a date. They might make a nice first impression. But that's not you. It's not you. Your thoughts and your speech and your actions are called clothing that's on top of you, that express something deep within you. So yes, the shofar, the kol, is representing a deep place in your neshama. And the one who's giving this moral rebuke is speaking like the voice of the shofar right to your soul. He's speaking right there. So now look inside. Now it's going to get a little bit Hebrewized for you guys. I might have just made that word up. V'haged la'amei pisham. And the prophet says, you shall tell to my people their iniquities, the things that they're doing wrong. But I only want you to go and talk to them if your voice is like a shofar. If you can go right into the neshama, pierce into the neshama. Ki amoichiach, the person who's giving moral rebuke. Sheroitze lahoichiach es Yisrael, who wants to help the Jewish people to get on the right track. Ulahagid lehem pisham v'chatosam, and to tell them, guys, maybe we should shift a little bit and get on the right path. He's only able to do that if he has this voice of the shofar. If a person doesn't have that voice, it's like he's poking at the poopy bag of diapers, and it makes everything stinky. And that in order that he shouldn't be poking around at the bad things that the Jews are doing and make it stinky. Al Kain, therefore, Tzarech Lezeh Hakol, Reb Nachman says, you need to have this voice, the secret voice of how to speak. And we said the voice is coming from Eden, all the way from that high exalted place, that secret place of yearning, of desire, of connection. And by using this special voice, it can awaken inside the person's soul beautiful, beautiful things. That's why when someone who's really a righteous person tells you something that maybe you're not doing so well, it helps you. You feel good. You feel good. That's what happened to when Moshe Rabbeinu did by the Chet HaEgel. Because through this voice, all the beautiful, fragrant things grow. This voice waters the garden, like we mentioned. Okay, Rabbi, so we're about to take this to the next level. Get ready. Raise your voice up like a shofar. Daika. And this voice is going to water the gardens of your soul. That your soul should burst forth beautiful, fragrant aromas. Of course, we're not talking about anything physical right now. We're saying that in your soul, there's a garden. There's a garden that many people have pushed away. They've ran away from that pure place inside of them. That childhood, that innocent, pure place that's their soul. Because people told them, you got to grow up, you got to go make a job, you got to go do this and do this and this. Real men don't cry, all that stuff. And they make us numb to feeling. And that pure garden that is our neshama, our soul, was locked up. And they threw away the key. But don't worry, Reb Nachman's telling us that we can get it back. We can reclaim our soul. We can reclaim the lost princess who's been stolen by the no good one. We could bring her back. But it's only if we have the voice of the shofar coming inside of us and waking us up. V'nor yotzeh me'Eden, that's the river that comes out of Eden, the river, like we mentioned, that makes this voice, the noise of the river. From Colorado, right? The Colorado River is there a voice to the river? Is it loud? Yeah, right?
Oh yeah.
Anyone who knows the river, the voice of the river, it's like, there's a voice to it. When that river comes into you, we're speaking metaphorically, Hashem gave us the Colorado River to teach you about a spiritual river that can rush inside of you and start to wake down. Imagine the Colorado River is right now blasting at your soul. Right? So imagine that in spiritual terms. Imagine there's a spiritual Colorado River coming in now and cracking away all of the externals, cracking away all the shells. Right? When you put something in front of a river, what happens to the something? There's not much of something anymore. The river just blasts past it. So this great mighty river that's coming out of Eden, out of the garden, it's coming from Eden into the garden of your soul, is going to arouse and awaken and wake up the princess that is your soul. Hu bechinas kol hanigin. Okay, and this is where it gets good. This is the idea of the song. Reb Nachman is about to take this Torah to the next level. This is a song. There's going to be a voice that's going to come into your soul, and it's a certain song. Okay, there's a song, anyone who's musical here, Reb Nachman is hinting to something from the Zohar. This voice is actually a song that we're going to hear when Mashiach comes. There's going to be certain music. I don't think it's going to sound exactly like Avicii or Tiesto. I have a feeling not, or 6ix9ine or any of those other interesting fellows out there. It's going to be something very, very high and exalted. Not to say that they didn't know how to make good music. I don't know about 6ix9ine. I think that's just weird. But the other guys have some talent. But there's some song that's going to be a futuristic song, a messianic song, that Reb Nachman is going to describe a little bit about this song. You guys ready for the song? Here we go. There's going to be a shir sheyisar la'asa. There's going to be a song in the future. Kishiyachadesh es eilamai. When Hashem brings this new world, there's going to be a song. Shubachina shir. He's going to hint to us what this song is going to be like. You ready? The song is going to have the following mathematical equation. It's going to be a song that's pashut, kafel, mishulish, meruba. What does that mean? A simple song that's doubled, tripled, and fourfold. Single, doubled, tripled, and quadrupled. V'zeh ka shofar. This voice is like a shofar. What are the letters ka shofar? Pei is pashut. That's the pei of the shofar. Kaf is kafel, doubled. The shin is shalosh, tripled. And the reish is ravua, quadrupled. So this song, this single, double, triple, quadrupled song, is hinted to in the very word like a shofar. So this is going to be the song of the days of Mashiach. This is going to be the real song that's going to be sung to awaken your soul. And there are certain people who have a little bit of an idea of this song. Only through this song are we able to really give that moral guidance to help a person. And you should raise up your voice like a shofar. A person is able to sing this song, he will get this thread, this string of kindness, it says. A person who can give that good song. You have a person that when you speak to me just feels like his words enter into me. And sometimes you get a guy who just says something like, and I was like totally shutting off spiritually. Just one of the best ways to know if someone shut off is like you start talking to them like, I'm listening. No, really, I am. I promise. Yeah, sure. Or like, so body language is amazing. This is like more listening as opposed to like, yeah. I always have a great laugh because there's like a picture of Kanye and President Trump when they were hanging out together in the Oval Office. Kanye was so geshma, he just like, all the way down, the president's like. Anyways, so these words that come from this world of the cold, that come from the song, when a person speaks with these words, it has a way of going inside. A person who really can talk to his friend to help him. This is talking about a dude who really can go to a buddy and help him. And the guy's open to his help. The voice goes in. And when the voice goes in, it waters the garden. And the person starts feeling like a somebody again. If a person can do that, the Torah says that we're going to give you something called a chut shel chesed. You're going to get these strings of kindness. Hashem, it's like, a person who's falls out to sea. So what do? Throw me a line! Throw me a line! Throws the thing, the guy holds onto it and he pulls himself, right? When a person really helps a friend, it's like God, if you could imagine, throws down these ropes from heaven and you can grab onto them. And these ropes, just like this week's parsha, the ladder of Jacob, these are ropes that can pull you all the way up. When you are able to help a friend, Hashem will throw you these strings of kindness. That Hashem says, I'm connected to you. These are ropes of kindness. And he'll start throwing them down and you can grab onto them. This song that we're talking about is woven together from these ropes that are thrown down when you're able to speak to somebody in a nice way. I know this sounds esoteric. When you hear these ideas, it goes in and then you meditate on it and then you reflect on it. Now watch this. She'al eila hanimin, through these strings that God is throwing down will become a harp that will make up the song when Mashiach comes. Which means there's going to be this harp that are made up of 72 strings. And of course, there's going to be an 8th note to the octave, and there's going to be even a 10th note of the octave. Try to figure that one out. How many notes are in an octave, Nolan? The 8th is the octave, so there's 7 notes. Just like everything in this world is 7. Can you try to picture an 8th note? That's a bit of a brain expansion meditation on that one. So there's going to be an extra note, and there's going to be an instrument that's a 72 stringed. Of course, it's physical, but we're also talking about a spiritual concept. That all of these notes, and this is the idea that this instrument is going to be made up of the following letters. A yud, that's simple. Yud hey, that's doubled. A yud and a hey and a vav, that's the tripled. A yud and a hey and a vav and a hey, that's the quadrupled. So we have the single song, the single, the double, the triple, and the quadruple. That's the yud, and then the yud and the hey, and the yud and the hey and the vav, and the yud and the hey and the vav and the hey. All together, how many letters? There's 10. Those are the 10 steeras. Those are the 10 notes of the musical scale that we're going to have. And what's the gematria if you add together a yud, and then a yud and a hey, and then a yud and a hey, and a vav and a hey, and then all that together? Of course, that's 72. That's the 72 stringed instrument that Mashiach is going to play. And of course, 72 is the gematria of chesed, of kindness, that a person who's involved in this is all Mashiach, he's going to burst forth all the kindness into the world. We're going to live in this world of kindness. When you could really help somebody get past their challenges, you're the kindest person. You're not only kind when you're a yes man. Don't worry, bro, it's fine. No, but I'm really struggling with stuff, and so let me take you out. It's going to be great. No, I'm having gambling problems. Don't worry, but no, maybe you have to tell me you have to stop. That's actually a bigger kindness that you can give that rebuke. There's going to be a tremendous blessing of kindness coming down to the world through this instrument. And we should be zeicha to this. By the way, this is where some of the Nanach guys get it, because Nachma, Nachman. Right? You see, single, double, triple, quadruple, Neoman, that's why they're really into this idea, is that they found the song. Maybe, we'll see when Mashiach comes if that's, it. But it's the single, double, triple, and quadruple that's going to be this great song that Mashiach is going to sing. The very song itself is made up from the strings that come from the chords of kindness, of being able to speak sweet words to a person, which is like this river that's coming out of Eden, this raging river that's going to allow the soul to fruit and flourish and become something great in the world. And we should have the merit to feel these ideas, and Mashiach is going to teach us how to do this, and already now in our lives to embody it, to be able to speak sweetly to other people and really help them with where they're at, to overcome their struggles, because we all got struggles. We all have what's called a pekala. We all have struggles, so we should be able to fix the things that we need fixing now, and greet Mashiach Tzidkein b'mehera v'yameinu. Amen. A wonderful day.